Welcome friends to another r/malicious compliance video. As always, if you enjoy this video, please make sure to hit that subscribe button. And our first story of the day is by Alcuna. You want me to cancel this job completely? Okay. My dad used to be field maintenance for the post office. Basically, if a truck broke down, Dad would go out with a special truck to tow it. Priority over all other things usually. If the post office machinery needed wrenching, Dad did it. Moderately high priority. If a blue mailbox needed a paint touch-up, Dad did it. Very low priority. One day, Dad gets sent out on a job out into a post office in the boonies. Nearly a 3.5-hour long drive, one way if traffic was favorable. This job was to repaint the parking lot. You can figure that this job wasn't exactly high priority, so they've already been waiting quite a while for it to happen. Dad gets to the site and the equivalent of the floor manager gets snippy with Dad, telling him that he was just going to have to sit on his hands and wait for 2 more hours. Apparently, floor manager had some project planned for that day that would require moving a bunch of stuff outside temporarily, using up the parking lot space. He fully expected my dad to stand around and wait for this job to be done. Dad said, "You filed a work order and you've been scheduled for this job for a while now. You knew what date I was going to be arriving. I'm here." The floor manager pompously said, "You are going to wait." Dad says, "No, I'm not. I'm starting the job I was sent to do." Dad spins on his heels and heads for his work truck to grab the equipment. The floor manager charges outside, screaming at the top of his lungs. "You will not paint this right now. You will paint when I say you can paint, and I say you will wait 2 hours. Dad, looking absolutely pissed, says, "If I put my equipment back in my truck, I will close the work order, and you will have to file another one." The floor manager storms inside and returns with the postmaster of that post office, a spineless, sniveling, hand-wringing twig of a man. The postmaster says, "Look, I know you're here to do this job we requested, but really, is it so much to ask for you to wait until the project's finished? It's only 2 hours." Dad icily says, "I drove 3.5 hours to get here. Either I start right now and head for my home base on time, or I close the work order and end the job." The postmaster whimpers and wheedles and wrings his hands, then nods. "Close the work order. I'll file another job order and you can return tomorrow." Dad smiles thinly, nods, and climbs back in his truck to head back to his own post office. He then calls his own postmaster and explains what happened. Dad's postmaster says, "Well, give them what they want. Close the work order." Now, here's the malicious part of the compliance. Dad and only 8 other guys covered an area of approximately 250 miles or so. So, yeah, way understaffed. Also, in order to get any requested jobs done, there was a whole bureaucratic mess to make it happen. You had to write up a work order, send it in, get put on a waiting list, and hope that a bunch of broken down trucks didn't bump you further down the list than you already were. If your work order was closed, whether or not it was actually completed, the job was considered fulfilled, which means that it could not just be reopened. They would have to file a completely new work order and be listed accordingly in the many, many higher priority jobs. Since this post office was out in the boondocks with an extremely low priority job on a very understaffed workforce, they essentially shot themselves in the foot by refusing to let Dad get started immediately. I can neither confirm nor deny that their new work order mysteriously dropped to the bottom of the list of priorities a few more times than necessary, but I can confirm that it was at least a further 3 months before that parking lot got painted. The floor manager made himself scarce, and the spineless postmaster was very, very quiet when he signed off on the work order's completion. So if you were in charge of handling the priority, and you heard how these people at this job, and you heard how the people at this request were acting, would that influence you to maybe put them a little bit further down a time or two again, just to make it worth their while? Or would you be the bigger person and just be fair with it? Let me know in the comments down below. This next story is by Hide and See. If you give a dog a treat, they're all going to want one. This is something I witnessed at my local dog park. Every time I go, there's about 13 to 25 dogs. It's a huge place and we all really care about our doggies. The time I usually go is in the morning. Usually it's full of people who are retired, people who work weird hours, or are stay-at-home moms or something. It's usually the same dogs every day or every other day, and when a new dog shows up, we try to welcome the people and their pet, and chat about dog names, ages, their adoption story, etc. The usual crew are there this fine day, and that includes an old man. Let's call him Carl. His dog is one of those dogs that's kind of a jerk. Carl's working on recall training, which is when you call your dog's name when they're playing or far away, and reward them for coming to you. He has tiny little kibble to reward the dog, just dog food, nothing fancy or particularly smelling, because if it's too good of a treat, other dogs will smell it and want it. We're all fine with this because Carl's dog is a monster puppy, and him trying to get his dog to behave is better than having his dog knock over all the water bowls, kick dirt at us, or generally other jerk moves. A woman, her husband, and a dog show up and we don't know them. Before we can even greet them and ask about her pup, she immediately has a problem with Carl giving his dog treats. She loudly points out that there's a rule against dog treats in the park, and I think that she got the vibe that we don't care because we all have them and our usual crew's fine with it. Her husband touches her arm. It's kind of clear from the body language that he knew she was being problematic, and this might have been his way of letting her know. After the husband touch, TM, she tries to backtrack and say something like, "And it's not the rule that's the problem, but if you give a treat to your dog, all the dogs will want one." And Carl, without flinching, offers another dog one of the treats from his sack of kibble. The other dogs of the park notice treats are being distributed and circle like birds, and they patiently wait for their turn to have one singular treat. The woman's dog gets a treat and she's not happy. They left and I haven't seen them since. Unrelated to malicious compliance, but he called her a Karen and my mouth dropped because he's like 90, and I had no idea he knew what that was. To be fair, I feel like anybody has the right to take their dog to a dog park and expect that other people don't give their dog treats. Am I wrong in saying that the guy kind of was a jerk for not just hearing her out, but instead going ahead and giving her dog treats just to like throw it in her face that they don't care? I don't know if I'm like becoming a Karen or something, but like it is a listed rule, and I just feel like if somebody doesn't want their dog to have treats, it's kind of a jerk move to give the dog treats, even if it is just one piece of kibble. Our next story is by Seesaw Mundane 5422. The ex doesn't like the lunches I pack? No problem. Contentious divorce with ex-wife. Got to experience a lot of the things that everyone experiences, but more so. One episode was when she hauled me into court accusing me of starving the children, packing them moldy sandwiches, lots of other things. She even claimed that the teachers were aware of this and that they had taken to providing my kids food since I'm so neglectful. None of it was true, and thankfully I was able to successfully defend myself in court, but court is nerve-wracking. Apparently I forgot to say explicitly what the judge needed to hear me say. No, I don't pack moldy sandwiches for the kids. So I get a court order decreeing that kids shall only be provided with fresh, healthy food. No sanctions, no punishment, just a pretty reasonable decree to be a good parent, which is what I strive to be anyway. But what judge doesn't know and I do is the chocolate sandwiches. My kids have always been picky eaters. I was never happy about this, but with everything else they've gone through in the divorce, this was way down on my list of things to deal with, which means that yes, when their mom packs them chocolate sandwiches for lunch, I would also pack them chocolate sandwiches. I'm not proud of it, but kids don't need to see conflict between their parents. And believe me, there have been other bigger parenting issues to deal with that I won't go into here. But now I have a court order to provide healthy food. I'm sure as heck not going to go back in front of that judge and try to argue that chocolate sandwiches count as fresh healthy food. So I send an email to X explaining that the kids will be eating the free school lunches from now on. Note, free school lunches, which means the kids were never in any danger even if her accusations had been true. But when I tell her the kids will be eating school lunches from now on, she is very upset. Oh, but the kids are sensitive. There aren't options they'll eat. How can you be so cruel? Can't you at least provide them with chocolate protein bars? You see, she knows what I've been packing them because it's exactly what she packs them. She didn't want me to change, she just wanted to get me in trouble. Also, it's impossible to understate how important control is to her. Denying the kids their special chocolate sandwiches is in line with denying them fresh water or kidnapping them. Like, it's incredibly important to this woman that every little wish and desire of her children be granted, and to not humor them is, in her eyes, quite literally child abuse. Also, denying her control over what goes on in my house is very upsetting. But nope, nope, and nope. Take me to court over the food I pack. I'm not packing food anymore. Duh. So I email with the court, not the judge, to make sure I have support for this school lunch plan. Yes, I do. So the next time I get the kids, I explain to them the new plan. They parrot back to their mom talking points. But can't we make the chocolate sandwiches? We're so sensitive. There aren't any options we can eat. Can't you at least give us chocolate protein bars? Nope, and nope. Each week I get to ask them, how was the school lunch? And it's a win-win for me. If they answer, not good, I can trot out the old, it's good for you to try different things, and I can enjoy knowing that I'm teaching them life skills. And if they say it was good, I can be genuinely happy for them. And to be honest, I'm looking forward to going back to court and explaining to the judge that X is still packing chocolate sandwiches. Isn't it sad to see how this mom's trying to use the kids and their enjoyment in chocolate sandwiches against the father? To try and paint the father as being a bad father because they want their kids to enjoy some chocolate sandwiches. Also, what are chocolate sandwiches? Is it like Nutella? I'm curious mainly with my stomach and taste buds. This next story is by CharacterAd6728. Mother-in-law lied about my baby gender, now has to see my baby in the clothes they brought. November last year, I, 30-year-old female, gave birth to our first baby. It's the first in my family and the sixth in my husband's family. It's important to say that all the 6 kids are boys and mother-in-law is in some sick baby girl rabies. Ever since we made the announcement, mother-in-law convinced herself that I was pregnant with a girl. I told her that once we knew the gender, she would be the first one to know. We told her it was a boy. She was still convinced it was a girl. She told the whole side of the family it was a girl. I corrected, but she told them I was just annoyed because I wanted a boy first. I wanted a healthy baby. I didn't give a darn about the sex. She also told them we're naming the girl after her mom, which we'll never do because hubby hates this grandma. When the baby shower gifts started to come, I noticed a lot of things that wasn't in the register, embroidered things with grandma's name. And it didn't matter that we told them the gender and the name, and made clear that we're not lying about the gender. Everyone believed her. Well, the baby was born, and imagine the surprise, it was a boy. Just like we've been telling everyone. The problem, for them, was that we now have plenty of girly clothes, pink onesies, etc., and we're dressing our baby with them, especially for his family video calls and for pictures for them. After Saturday call, mother-in-law called us to scream to us because we're making the elders uncomfortable for not sticking to a masculine color scheme for the baby clothes. And we have to stop being this childish. She just thought my belly shape was more like a girl than for a boy. We told her we won't change the baby's clothes and to just wait until the dresses fit. He will look adorable. I mean, they can complain that you're dressing them up girly all they want, but the fact of the matter is, people came out of the woodworks to give them all this girly stuff. It's good, it's usable, even if it doesn't conform to whatever standards they want. If it works for you and your baby, forget what they want. And our final story of the day is by Beer Belly Be Gone. You want a refund for your own mistake? No problem. A customer called in to say that their mobile data internet had stopped working about 15 minutes ago. Some very simple troubleshooting discovered that this person, herein caller, had accidentally turned off their mobile data in the settings menu. Simple mistake, no harm, no foul. And 99 out of 100 of the times, the customer will say, "Great, that was quick, thanks." Not this guy. This guy decided that since he was internetless for almost 20 minutes, he deserved compensation. Even worse was that this guy was being a jerk about it. After several rounds of my friend trying to explain to this blockhead that the reason he hadn't had internet was his own darn fault, and this man becoming increasingly aggressive and belligerent, my friend had had enough. The call then went something like this. "Sir, as this was the error of your own making, and not a problem with the phone's firmware, software, or our mobile networks, as a general rule we won't offer any compensation in such cases. However, given your long time as a client of the company, he was a customer for less than a year on the cheapest plan, so not a loss, I'm willing to meet you in the middle and provide you a 50% recompense of your bill for the time you were without internet service, even though, once again, it was not through any fault of our own." The caller goes, "Darn right you're going to pay me back for the time I didn't have internet, blah blah blah." Friend says, "You currently pay the local equivalent of $39.99 a month for 3 phone services, calls, text, and mobile data. Since your calls and text worked just fine, and the internet was only the problem, let's divide your bill into thirds and look at the part that wasn't working. That comes out to a total of $13.33 per month. Then we'll divide again by 30 days, which means you're paying 45 cents each day for mobile data. Your data was turned off for 20 minutes, but in order to ensure that you leave this call satisfied with our company, I'll round it up in your favor to a full hour. Dividing those 45 cents into 24 hours is a little under 2 cents per hour. Once again, I'll round this up in your favor to the complete 2 cents. Of that, your 50% refund means that 1 cent will be credited to your account. Thanks for calling telecommunications company, and I hope that you're satisfied with the service I was able to provide for you today. Apparently at this point the caller realized he wasn't going to get anything, so they just dropped off the call. My friend says he sent the call recording to his manager, another friend of ours, and they both had a good laugh about it. Easy, quick maths. Hey man, a penny saved is a penny earned. You can't say complaining didn't get you anything. Wasn't worth the time, but you technically did make money. But with that being said, that's a wrap on another bunch of stories here today. As always, if you guys have any favorite videos of this bunch, let me know which one in the comments down below and why. And if you enjoyed the stories in general, if you could subscribe to this channel, it'd mean a lot to me. I make these videos daily, and it's by far and away the best way to support my channel. So no matter what you did, whether it was subscribing or liking, leaving a comment, I just appreciate the heck out of you guys. And as always, I'll be back tomorrow with even more stories right here on the Storytime channel.